In early 2025, President Donald Trump, back in the White House for a second term, stunned the world by reviving his audacious ambition to buy Greenland. The idea, once dismissed as a punchline, was now back on the global agenda, this time with even greater urgency and spectacle. Trump pitched the proposal as the ultimate real estate deal, promising to secure America's access to vast reserves of rare earth minerals, and to control the new Arctic shipping lanes opening up as the ice melted. He argued that Greenland's untapped resources could fuel American industry for decades, and that the island's strategic location would give the U.S. a commanding presence in the Arctic. Trump claimed this bold move would break U.S. dependence on China for critical minerals and cement American dominance in a rapidly changing Arctic. He painted a picture of a new era, where the U.S. would lead in energy, shipping, and security in the far north. He painted a future of prosperity for Greenlanders under U.S. stewardship, promising massive investment, modern infrastructure, and thousands of new jobs. Trump's vision included new ports, airports, and even the possibility of making Greenland a hub for Arctic tourism and research. But beneath the bravado and the grand promises, the move signaled a return to a transactional foreign policy, treating sovereign territory as a commodity to be bought and sold, rather than a nation with its own identity and aspirations. The announcement sent shockwaves through global diplomacy. Allies and adversaries alike were forced to confront a U.S. president who saw the world as a boardroom and who was willing to upend international norms to get what he wanted. Inside the White House, aides scrambled to draft economic models and legal frameworks, treating the acquisition like a high-stakes corporate merger. Every angle was analyzed, from mineral rights to military strategy. Trump dismissed concerns about international law, Greenlandic self-determination, and the island's unique culture, convinced that the deal was a win for all involved. Critics, however, warned of the risks of ignoring local voices and global norms. For Trump, Greenland was the ultimate fixer-upper, a legacy project to reshape the Arctic, secure America's future, and cement his own place in history as the president who dared to redraw the map. The stage was set for a diplomatic showdown that would test old alliances, challenge international law, and redefine the balance of power in the far north. Greenland and Denmark's response was immediate, swift, and resolute. The world watched as both governments made their positions unmistakably clear. Their answer was absolute, not for sale. Greenlanders rallied together, voicing their opposition in the streets and across social media, making it clear that their homeland was not a commodity. Greenland's Prime Minister, Nuuk Ejidi, declared that the island's future was for Greenlanders alone to decide. He emphasized that their destiny would never be dictated by foreign interests or outside powers. The offer wasn't just rejected. It was dismissed as an affront to their sovereignty and Inuit heritage. For many, it was a reminder of past struggles for recognition and respect. In Copenhagen, Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen echoed the sentiment, calling the idea absurd and reaffirming Greenland's autonomy. She stressed that Greenland was not Denmark's to sell. Denmark's new monarch, King Frederik X, updated the royal coat of arms to give Greenland and the Faroe Islands their own panels, a symbolic gesture of unity and respect. This act was more than ceremonial. It was a public affirmation of partnership. The message was clear: Greenland was not a colonial possession but a partner in a modern commonwealth. Both nations stood shoulder to shoulder, united in their stance. This united front left no room for negotiation, shutting down Trump's ambitions at the door. The proposal was met with firm, unwavering resistance. The refusal was rooted in identity and pride, not economics. Greenlanders saw the offer as a challenge to their dignity and their right to self-determination. Greenland and Denmark treated the offer as a fundamental misunderstanding of their relationship and values. Their partnership was built on mutual respect, not ownership. Their dignified stand highlighted the gulf between Trump's transactional worldview and the principles of self-determination. The world took notice of their resolve. The stage was set for escalating rhetoric and pressure from Washington, but Greenland and Denmark had already drawn a line in the ice, one that would not be crossed. Trump's response to rejection was swift and aggressive. He threatened Denmark with tariffs and even hinted at military force to compel a sale. Canada, too, became a target. Trump threatened a 25% tariff on all Canadian goods, escalating tensions across North America. In a bizarre twist, he suggested Canada should join the U.S. to avoid economic punishment, posting altered maps showing Canada as America's 51st state. The threats and theatrics shocked allies, challenging long-standing norms and alliances. Trump's America First doctrine was now weaponized, making sovereignty and partnership seem conditional. The diplomatic crisis deepened, forcing Denmark and Canada to stand firm against unprecedented pressure. Canada's response was calm, but unyielding. Outgoing Prime Minister Justin Trudeau dismissed Trump's annexation talk with a memorable retort, "Not a snowball's chance in hell." New Prime Minister Mark Carney doubled down, telling the world Canada's sovereignty was non-negotiable. Behind the scenes, Canada prepared for economic fallout, shoring up supply chains and planning retaliatory measures. The public rallied around their leaders, united by a deep sense of national pride. Trump's tactics only strengthened Canadian resolve and unity. The crisis forced Canada to rethink its alliances and assert its interests, especially in the Arctic. This was the start of a more independent Canadian foreign policy, born from necessity. Canada was ready to lead, not just react. While Trump focused on confrontation, Canada made a bold diplomatic play, the Ottawa Arctic Accord. This landmark pact united Canada, Denmark, Greenland, and Nordic nations in a new Arctic partnership. The accord established joint security patrols, a green Arctic fund for sustainable development, and responsible resource sharing. For Greenland, it meant investment and autonomy, without selling out to foreign powers. The deal blindsided Washington, creating a unified Arctic bloc committed to cooperation and international law. Canada emerged as a leader, offering allies a constructive alternative to U.S. pressure. The accord was celebrated in Europe as a win for multilateralism. The message was clear: the Arctic's future would be shaped by partnership, not unilateral deals. The Arctic is no longer a frozen afterthought. It's the new frontier of global competition. Melting ice is unlocking vast reserves of oil, gas, and rare earth minerals, making the region a prize for economic and technological power. New shipping routes like the Northwest Passage could revolutionize global trade, giving whoever controls them enormous influence. Russia and China are investing heavily, building icebreakers and military bases to secure their interests. The US and its allies are racing to keep up, upgrading defenses and seeking new partnerships. The Arctic's strategic location makes it a military flashpoint, with old Cold War tensions resurfacing. Control of the region means control of resources, trade, and security. That's why Trump wanted Greenland, and why the world is watching the Arctic so closely. The stakes are high. Whoever shapes the Arctic will shape the future of global power. The new great game is underway, and the outcome will define the century. The Ottawa Arctic Accord sent Trump into a public meltdown. He lashed out at allies, imposed steep tariffs on Canada and Denmark, and canceled diplomatic visits in a fit of retaliation. The economic fallout was immediate. Markets plunged, supply chains snarled, and recession fears mounted. Trump's actions seemed less about strategy and more about punishing those who defied him. The tariffs hit North America and Europe hard, threatening jobs and growth. Major companies warned of losses, and economists predicted a trade war-induced downturn. Trump's unpredictable response turned a diplomatic spat into a full-blown economic crisis. Allies and investors watched in disbelief as chaos spread. The world wondered, what would Trump do next? The crisis had spiraled far beyond Greenland. The Greenland crisis and the landmark Ottawa Accord have dramatically redrawn the Arctic's geopolitical map, setting off a cascade of diplomatic and strategic shifts across the region. A new bloc, Canada, Denmark, Greenland, and their Nordic partners, now stands united, championing multilateralism, sustainable development, and a shared vision for the Arctic's future. Their alliance signals a commitment to peaceful cooperation and environmental stewardship, even as global tensions rise. This coalition stands in stark contrast to Trump's confrontational America First approach and the increasingly assertive Russia-China partnership, both of which prioritize national interests over global stability. America's reliability as an ally is now in question, pushing countries to seek new partnerships, diversify their alliances, and pursue greater strategic independence in a rapidly changing world. The Western alliance system, once a pillar of global order, is visibly weakened, opening doors for rivals to expand their influence and challenge the status quo. The Arctic's future is now a contest between three competing visions: international cooperation, resource exploitation, and great power competition, each with profound implications for the planet. The stakes are global. Security, trade, and the environment all hang in the balance, as new shipping lanes and untapped resources draw the world's attention northward. As of July 2025, tensions remain high, tariffs are still in place, and alliances are strained, with no clear resolution in sight. What began as a dispute over Greenland has become a defining crisis of our era, exposing deep cracks in the West and revealing new realities of power and influence on the world stage. The next moves by Washington, Ottawa, and their partners will determine whether the Arctic becomes a zone of escalating conflict or a model for global cooperation and peaceful progress in a divided world.